Greetings humans, and welcome to the next confession at the Heretic, where we will take care with breaking down the most interesting graphic elements in the Horizon Forbidden West gameplay into prime factors. Let's go without further delay and dive into the matter why Horizon 2 looks so good. The facial expressions of Aloy shows that this game will make a fight with The Last of Us 2 and Red Dead Redemption 2. The best facial expressions are the one that does not have to try and that are very natural at it. You can see the wrinkles appearing on the redhead's forehead and how all the muscles and tendons on her face move. Honestly, it looks very close to photorealism. Aloy's hair also got a big upgrade, especially in its physics of moving them around along with the movement of her head. Another thing is the shading of her face, where you can see how differently her face is illuminated. I was most impressed by her hair on the skin of her face, which in fact, even in women, is visible under the influence of the right positioned light in relation to the said face. The figure of her wounded companion looks even better in comparison. You can clearly see the texture and imperfection of the skin, along with realistically bloody wounds. At the same time, after the jagged shadow of beard on his neck, we can see that the scene is rendered on the game engine Decima. I have not yet seen pain shown so realistically expressed as it was shown on the face of an injured bald man. In this case, you can see that the less is better, and minimalistic face expression with an eloquent gaze is more than enough so that everyone will immediately catch the emotions flowing from the expressions on the face of the survivors. It's clearly visible that the post-apocalyptic San Francisco will offer a lot of body of water. And water and its appearance were the weakest element in first Horizon graphics. Here from the start you can see the details of the water specks on the face of the next character. The particle effects of water arisen by moving machine looks amazing. Water also seems to react to the weight of the object that falls into it. This can be seen in the Rapture's jump, which stirs up the water more forcefully and violently. The very execution of the machines is even better and more detailed than it was in first Horizon, where machines already had amazingly reproduced texture of the materials. Is it me, or lower jaw of the Raptor is similar with the iconic Lancer from Gears of War? One have to praise the great flare effect from all artificial light sources, like in this case from the Raptor's robotic eye. Fortunately, we just learned about water, so it's time to dive in and see what the world of Horizon looks like underwater. Immediately after digging under its surface, you can see a mass of air bubbles, which again remind us that the particle effects will be an important element of next generation games. Most probably SSR reflections along with cube maps were used on the water surface. While machines are passing by in front of us, pay attention to the dynamic shadows created on the rocks by the glow of their eyes. During the dive you can see that the vegetation is affected by the sun's rays falling in the water. It's clearly visible that their upper parts closer to the edge of water are more illuminated and their leaves partially let the light through. Water currents are something I have not yet seen in water in any sandbox before. However, it is the abundance of fish and the general splendor of the environment and its lighting that left me sad that we will have to wait a little bit longer before we are able to play it. Our protagonist leaves water funnels on the water surface, which also refract the light, where it once again looked incredibly weaker in the first Horizon, contrasting with its general level of visuals at the time. Here we return to the poor Beckham substitute to show the behavior of the water surface after his fall. Notice how effectively the water flowing from the Mammoth raised legs refracts the light rays, and all this was spiced up with another stomp of his leg into its surface, showing us the splendor of particle effects of water. While charging her weapon, Aloy shows off the amazing lighting generated by loading part into her weapon, which finally, after the impact, show us the tessellation of sand in which the crater was formed after a spear strike, plus a rich display of lighting and electric discharge particles. It looks ridiculously good how waves are breaking up against the shore. It's visible how waves are generated and how they refract light differently, additionally foaming while at it. Let's go back for a second to the texture of the materials by observing how different the individual elements of the Raptor are. The water, its movement and behavior along with the overall visual splendor are delightful to watch. In this scene you can see the particle effects of fluttering leaves, volumetric clouds of smoke, volumetric beams of light and the insanely done vegetation of the entire beach that responds to gusts of wind in the game world. The fight with the Mammoth is most effective of battles presented in a state of play gameplay. Our mount is rich in electric discharge particles while breaking up to pieces. After that explosion accident, when choosing a weapon, we can pay attention to the excellent quality of the depth of field used in the background. But this Mammoth explosion was first big bang that made me drop my jaw. I have never seen such awesome pyrotechnics in game, and so I have to mention the particles again in the form of sparks and fire from the explosion, which looks great and scream new generation. The Mammoth's red headlights generate shadows from its horn on the sand. During his range attack you can see a great deformation of the sand in which there are visible ditches created by his projectiles. Shooting from pulse rifles shows that the purple bullets during their flight reflects on the water surface, at the same time refracting their light on some of the water particles floating in the air. The moment of the fall of the entire Mammoth backpack on the ground shows that each falling object is shaded separately, and the advanced distraction and physics of the falling elements will make many to go for a sadistic smile. Another novelty in new version of Engine Decima is greater destruction of the environment than the one that was used in Horizon Zero Dawn. The physics of the falling part of a facade of the old building is impressive, and it's just a pity that the rubble doesn't stay with us for a little longer. Big Mammoth's electric discharge illuminates the sand on the beach with their glow. The multitude of all effects on the screen is stunning, and let's remember that this is an open world game. Horizon Zero Dawn for me was a sandbox with a map quality more reminiscent of linear games. I think this will be the biggest strength of the second part of the game. Honestly, I am glad that the creators skipped the whole fuss about using ray tracing and focus on 30 frames animation, because thanks to this we will get a truly next-gen feast that we are waiting for since the last November. Sony hit the ball out of the court, and the only bad thing is that we have to wait for unknown time for the game premiere. Let's remember that the first Horizon had one of the best HDR implementation in games, so Forbidden West will also be even more beautiful from what we were shown today in SDR. I'm waiting for it like a dog for a biscuit, and I'd advise you to do the same, because the Dutch Guerrilla Games will not take any prisoners. That's it for me for today when it comes to the first impressions on the initial assessment of what Forbidden West has to offer in terms of graphics. If there won't be any downgrade and these times are hopefully probably behind us, then for its premiere we will be dealing with the most beautiful game ever released on Sony's consoles. I see you next week on the first part of the Last of Us 2 PS5 graphics review, which will be about the 4 elements in this game: high, buy and metal.